I don't know about you, but I stir my coffee with chopsticks using the vortex method, the only true way to optimize the taste of my coffee at the molecular level. Good morning. Welcome to the Daybreak Show. I am the Sultan. We'll get started, but first, coffee in a stainless steel insulated mug. Let me put the top on because I don't like it when my mouth touches the stainless steel. Nice. Decaf today, believe it or not. I'm actually drinking decaf just to make sure that any headaches don't return. Some people get headaches when they stop coffee. Some people get headaches when they start coffee. I'm the guy that gets headaches when I have too much caffeine over a period of time. It just kind of builds up, so I need to take a break. Well, I missed you. I did. But I had to take care of myself. My mornings are pretty rushed every day, 7 days a week. So I needed to take some time and use this time for reading my devotional material and prayer. And when I did that last week, when I met with God in the morning, just praying, thinking, pondering, He said, I missed you. And I was pursuing life, but not pursuing God. And man, it felt good just to get back in the groove. I have to refill myself so I can give myself to you, give you encouragement, give you hope, give you ideas for life to kind of work through issues, to become successful, fully functioning. And if I am not fully functioning, then I can't give you that data. So I need to feed myself, refill myself, fill my tank. I literally felt like I was running on empty. And I was feeling that emptiness in my body. But it's back, and I feel good. Today is going to be a single topic episode of the Daybreak Show. And I am calling today's show A Possible Path to Marriage. Interesting, right? You know, I'm writing the book called Open to Marriage. I've revealed probably 10 or 11 chapters to you. And I continue to write that. I'm guessing that'll be available this summer, most likely. So let's get started with the concept of a possible path to marriage. And that's for those who just don't want to be alone. Some people would say, well, why do you need to get married to satisfy the not be alone part? Why can't you just be together? My thoughts are this. Marriage is the ultimate commitment. It can, and with that, because of that, it can also be the biggest betrayal. That's why it hurts more than anything else. Getting divorced hurts more than losing your job, skinning your knee, hurting your back, blowing out a shoulder. You know, you can recover from a lot of these things. You can always get a new job. But many people, when they lose a marriage, they go into a tailspin, and then they look for reasons why it happened. Normal people look for reasons why it happened. As human beings, I think our first reaction when it comes to when things go wrong is to blame. Sometimes those points in the blaming are right on, dead on. You really could have married the wrong person. You really might not have been ready. For instance, I've said things like, you can jump off a cliff, and then all of a sudden, halfway down, you can say, God, save me. Well, 3 seconds earlier, you decided to jump off the cliff. Now you want God to rescue you. Could he? Sure. But the consequences of your folly live on. They remain. Many people get married for the wrong reasons. They are not ready. And then they say, God, save my marriage. Can it happen? Sure. Will it happen? Don't count on it. But the natural reaction is to blame it on the other person. Now, if the other person actually did stuff, cheated, spent all the family money, was overdosing all the time and getting rushed to the hospital. Those are things that a family can't, and a marriage can't maintain itself. So I would ask those people, if you knew that ahead of time, then why did you get married? Because you thought it was going to change. You thought things were going to be different. You thought marriage was going to be just like the holy blessing on everything and make everything better. Usually that just makes things worse. But let's talk about the path to marriage, not the path to divorce. You already know what I think about divorce. But let's talk about if you think that you want to be married someday, let's talk about those steps. First of all, you have to be aware of the other person. Awareness is the person is on your radar. That's super important, obviously. And there has to be an attraction there. What are you attracted to? Are you impressed with them like you would be impressed with a candidate for a job? Let's say that you are a hiring manager and you see a promising candidate. There's a difference between hiring somebody who's skilled and talented and qualified. There's a difference between that and marrying somebody. That person if you're hiring, that person only has to perform 8 or 9 hours a day on the job. You don't see them in any other area of their life. So their burden of proof is to show you how much they can benefit the company for those 8, 9 hours a day, and overall what they can contribute to the company. Marriage is similar in that sense, except it's not 8 or 9 hours a day. It's your life. It's 24/7. But I think if we conducted our path to marriage using some of the principles of hiring, some people joke around and say, I'm accepting resumes for husband, accepting resumes for wife. And it's always like tongue in cheek. But what if it's not tongue in cheek? What if you actually are going by qualifications rather than just feelings? I think it's a combination of both. Feelings include sexual desire. And then, of course, the just overall good feelings, the love chemicals. And the likability. You've heard people say, I love him or I love her, but I don't like her. How many times have you heard someone say that they love somebody, but they don't like them? There has to be a likability factor. Are they likable? I've always said that any two sex organs can get along. Most. But what about when the loving is done? Can you get along outside the bedroom, in the kitchen, in the dining room, the rec room, reading, traveling, walking on the front porch, on the back deck, working together on the house? Can you get along that way? Can you satisfy each other that way? Or are you just putting up with each other? So, there has to be awareness of a person. That person has to be on your radar. 2, there has to be an attraction, and that attraction includes sexual and intellectual attraction, and the likability factor, TLF. Very practical things. You have to be on each other's radar. Certain people are not on your radar, and you are not on certain people's radar for a reason. There are women I've known for years, many years. I was not on their radar. All of a sudden now I'm on their radar. Why is that? Have I changed? Sure. Have they changed? Sure. So now they have to make a new decision based upon new information. How do you do this? Chat, conversations. You're gathering information casually. You're not doing a job interview. Pardon me. You're not doing a job interview, whereas a job interview might be 30 to 60 minutes. The interview for a spouse might be months, where you're gathering information. Are you just a joy seeker, a fun lover? That's okay. But if it ends there, then you are not a candidate for marriage. If it ends there with them, they are not a candidate for marriage. Many people eliminate the sexual desire part, which is focused on by a lot of the red pill community. You've heard the phrase that about genuine desire, that there really needs to be genuine desire. If there's no genuine desire, then nothing's really happening. People can respect you. People can think you're funny. People enjoy your company, but there's no genuine sexual desire. I've heard people say, they just don't do it for me. That's what they're talking about, doing it for you. It's something primal. Can't really put our finger on it. We've heard people like Rollo Tomasi say things like, genuine desire can't be negotiated. You can't talk somebody into desiring you. Or nobody can talk you into desiring them. I would be such a good wife for you, George. I've heard that said. I believe them. I believe that they really believe that. But I don't internalize it myself. It's not there. I just don't feel it. If someone said that to you, you know, if you had that face-to-face talk with them, you would say things, I appreciate that, and I really, really do like you too. And I love spending time with you, but I'm just not feeling it. I just don't feel. That's what they're talking about, the genuine desire. The genuine desire has to be there. That's why dating sites, these swipe sites, they work on primal, genuine desire. What is attractive to you? That's why you can mentally just say yes or no like that. Left, 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 right, right, right. You know what I mean? You might swipe left 100 times and swipe right once. Why do you swipe right? Because that person in 100th of a second appeals to you. Something happens. There's something there. You know it. That's why you can go into a bar. There's times where I was out in a club, and when I say club, I'm not talking about like a dance club with a DJ. I'm talking a place with like a bar where there's a band at one end, you know, playing rock and roll or jazz or something like that. The place is filled. There's a little dance floor, and you can be looking across a crowd of people, and then all of a sudden you come eye to eye with somebody, and you linger staring at them for a couple seconds. There's that genuine desire thing. Guys, were you ever with a girl out and about, and you caught her looking at somebody, and someone looking at her, and you knew at that point it was over for you? That's happened to me before. And that's delusional men think they can win a woman back from that. You can't. You can't. If her genuine desire is going to that guy, even just across the room, just for a second, you're done. So I'm not ignoring genuine desire, but I also want to bring into account the practical stuff. Like when you meet eyes with somebody, sure, you could get along in a bedroom or a car or a hotel room. Of course you could. After that, can you live with them? Can you do stuff with them? Can you make them part of your family? As you've heard me say in the past, vet them for their desire to build. Do they want to build? Or do they just want to have bedroom time with you? So, conversations, you're gathering information. Part of that information that you're gathering is you are taking note of your own physicality and your own biological reactions to that person. You're taking note of that. There's a lot of people you could have sex with, but there's a lot of those same people you might not be able to live with and build with. Many communities, many guys in the red pill community will say that that sex part is the most important thing. I say it's important, but it's not the most important thing. It's one of the important things. When this stage of gathering information, it might be seeing a person out and about, it might be socializing with a group, it might be interacting with them online. When that stage is no longer satisfying and you want a little bit more, and it's not just working to have sex, because that's always anticlimactic, always. That's why there's a lot of one-night stands. That's why there's a lot of ghosting that happens. When that stage is no longer satisfying and your desire is growing, then you consciously, not just biologically, you move from being driven by your loins to being driven by a rational mind. Then you consciously move together at the same time. It has to be mutual. You move to what I call the exploration phase. It has to be mutual. You can't be exploring with them and they not know it. It's like the guy who just wants to friend his way into a woman's life. You heard me talk about this before. So many guys are friends with women. My brother and I talk about guys that can friend zone a woman so darn fast because they want to be their buddy. In the red pill community, you've heard the phrase, if you're not banging her, then you're just her girlfriend. I don't want to go that far because my world doesn't revolve around my loins and what they do or don't do. But there are guys who will go shopping with a woman. She will try on shoes and dresses, just like a girl, and he's right there thinking that he's being supportive of her. And he does that, and they go to movies together, and they hug. At the end of the night, they hug. And then after 6 months of that, he goes to lay a kiss on her, and she pushes away and says, whoa, we were just friends. You know why? Because she doesn't have genuine desire. Your desire was growing, but hers wasn't. You were just filling up her time until the landscaper or UPS driver who's ripped or handsome or does floater boat comes along, or the right guy sees her. You don't own her just because you've been nice to her for 6 months. You even slept in the same bed, but we didn't do anything. Oh, pat yourself on the back, dude. We slept together, but we didn't do anything. Come on. Come on. I stayed at her house many times. Yeah, okay. It has to be mutual, and it has to be conscious. No guessing games. All right, the exploration phase. Second thing about the exploration phase, desire must be increasing during the exploration phase. Not only are you just gathering information, learning about them, their family, their background, how they act with you, how they react with you, but your desire for them is growing. But you're not literally just tearing each other's clothes off. You're not doing that because that can cloud an issue. As I said, this is easy, okay? What's hard is working together, cooperating together, building something together. This does not equal building. Let's make that abundantly clear. That's not building. That's playing. That's a farmer planting seeds in a field where other men are planting seeds. Or a farmer planting seeds in a field that's just for him right now. That's why a lot of guys will say, she's not yours, it's just your turn. And that's why men feel so disenfranchised when she moves on or gets divorced or whatever, or goes to another guy. If you are friendly with her, if you are her dude best friend, remove all your expectations. Remove all the expectations. Just the only thing that's growing is in your head. That's it. It's not based on reality. So it's got to be mutual. Desire has to be increasing. And the timeline for this is it has to be several months, up to a year, year and a half, 2 years. That's why I say date long, marry slow. And if you're going to get divorced, divorce fast. But this takes time. You can't rush that stuff. What do they say? You can't hurry love. So even though sexual desire is there, you must still take into consideration the practical. Think about the practical things. Who are you marrying? You are also marrying their family, so to speak. Do not believe the lie that you're not marrying the family. Their family will affect your relationship and eventually marriage. And blood is thicker than water. You know what that means? Have you heard that phrase before? That means family's opinions will always overrule your opinion. So there's going to be someone who doesn't like you in their family. And no matter what you do, they're not going to stop loving that person. But that person's going to have an effect. That's why a lot of guys have problems with their mother-in-law. Because the mother-in-law might be very critical of the man. And the man doesn't need that. So he just remains quiet. And no matter how much the wife, she might complain about her mother and be frustrated with her mother, you got to just keep your mouth shut. I'll never forget, that happened with me. My ex-wife would complain about her mother, and then when I said something, she'd be like, don't talk about my mother like that. And I'm like, wait a minute, you just spent 30 minutes slamming your mom. But I say one little thing, and all of a sudden I'm the enemy. That's how that works. You're not going to change that, guys. You still have to discuss the practical. Where are you going to live? How much are you going to save? I love the conversation that I had with Steve, the Dean Williams, remember a couple weeks ago, which he is going to be a regular, like once a month. We're going to talk about family things. I enjoyed the conversation. Go back and look at that. That was a good conversation that I had with him. His wife had a 1-year plan, a 2-year plan, a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan, as far as savings, what they were going to do, where they were going to live, how they were going to conduct themselves as a family. I'm not even sure Steve had that kind of plan, but I'll tell you what, he speaks of his wife's plan, the plan, how she broke it down. And they've been together a long time and their kids are grown now. Is that person able to do that? Or are they just living on emotions? Are you marrying a child? Are you marrying someone who needs to be babysat? Men, are you marrying a woman who needs girls' night out? You've heard me say this in the past. If she dresses nicer for girls' night out than she does when she's with you, you're already screwed, because girls' night out is not about girls' night out. It's about a woman reassessing, appraising her sexual market value to see if she still has it. Whether she does anything with that, that's up to her, and it varies from individual to individual. Do you need someone? Are you marrying someone who is a spendaholic? Men, are you marrying a woman who's just going to be spending your money on frivolous things, stupid things, and donating to causes that you could care less about? Is she going to be a good money manager? Is she good with money? Or vice versa? When it comes to division of labor, I always like to say, go with what your strengths are. For instance, it's going to take a lot to pry me out of the kitchen, because I've been single for so long, and I love cooking. I love cooking, so it's hard for me to trust other people's cooking. So I'm going to have to learn how to get away from the kitchen a little bit. If I get married and I meet a woman who wants to cook, I want to marry a woman who wants to cook. But here's how I'll negotiate that. I'll cook 2 nights a week. You can cook 5 nights a week. I'll cook 2 nights a week. Something that I want to cook, and then the other night you tell me what you want me to make, because I enjoy it. But here's the catch. I hate cleaning. I will destroy a kitchen in 30 minutes. I will make the most beautiful dinner you've ever seen. Tasty, colorful, variety, healthy, but I will destroy a kitchen. There's times where cleaning up my mess will take longer than so the desire to build, permanently desire to build, not pitch a tent. Some people's relationships are just living in tents. Serial monogamy. I know women that collect engagement rings and last names and think there is nothing wrong with it. Permanence. One viewer of mine, who I really appreciate his emails and pictures, and you know who you are, he didn't propose. I'm not a huge fan of proposing. I'm not a fan of a man's life hinging on a woman's potential decision. That's me. That's just me. Might not be for you. You might like to do the get down on one knee thing. I'm not a get down on one knee kind of guy. I'm the kind of guy that, not unlike the viewer that I was just talking about, where when they were dating, he said, let's make this permanent. He didn't give her a chance to say yes or no. Her response was, yes, let's do it. And they made something. They were building something now with grandchildren. It's marvelous. I don't want to blow his confidential emails and the beautiful pictures that he sent. But when I saw the picture of him and his wife and his family on the beach, grandkids and such, and this is a man that's older than me, it blew me away, and it was inspiring to me, very inspiring. Let's make this permanent. Very similar to my concept of let's build something together. Do you want to build something together? Can you imagine, instead of saying, will you marry me? Can you imagine, and not proposing, this is not like a business proposal where you're trying to win someone over. Can you imagine just saying to someone, I believe we should build something together. Let's build something permanent here. When you have the let's build something together conversation, you know pretty sure that she wants to do the same. The guy who's just going shoe shopping and who is her girlfriend is not going to get to that point where he says, let's build something, let's make this permanent. What are you making permanent? Going shopping with her? Going on friendly dates with her? Until the right guy comes along in her life? Now, by the time you have the let's make this permanent, let's build something together conversation, you already are sure that they want to do that. You can feel them like a horse behind the gate at the races, waiting for that gate to open. That's a question that is, you already know the answer before you ask it. And then you just make the plans to have the wedding and celebrate with your family if you're going to do that. You never say, I think we should build something together. What do you think? That is very similar to proposing. Everything is hinging on her. Men, my opinion, your mileage may vary. You lose complete frame if you have to check with her. You set the pace of always having to check with her for your whole life. That's a bad way to start a marriage. My opinion. Yours may be different. I think we should make this permanent. I would love us to be able to build something. Statement, not a question. Her reply is going to be, me too. Me too. I just spoke theoretically about this path to marriage. It's not the way to conduct yourself. It is a way. It's one of many different ways. If it appeals to you, then adopt this philosophy and this worldview and this mindset. It is exactly what I am doing in my life. It's what I didn't do in my previous life that ended up going up in flames and causing me to go into a tailspin. Just something to think about. And with that, finish your coffee, and I'll see you Monday morning on the Daybreak Show, your home of sanity, clarity, and reason.